Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here, and this video is going to be my review for Detective Pikachu. So I'm literally just back from having seen the movie in the cinema, and yeah, let's talk about it here. So I'll be going somewhat spoilery on this one. Basically, I'm not going to talk about like here's what the ending of the movie is, that sort of thing. I'm not just going to go directly into discussing like the big twists and turns, but I want to talk about some details of the movie, you know, the plot setup and stuff like that. So, you know, minor spoiler warning, but I'm not going to go too crazy in depth on what happens at the end of the movie. So, I think straight away the main thing to say is just that this worked. This was a good, enjoyable movie. Was it the best movie you've ever seen? Is it the best written? Is it the best acted, most impressive movie ever? No. But it absolutely works on every front in a way that the integration of the Pokemon is well done. The I suppose human characters interacting with what is effectively sort of nothing there feels really well done. The acting for what it is solid, and the plot actually has a decent amount of depth to it. There's a nice emotional core there of it sort of being about, you know, obviously our main character Tim and his search to find out what happened to his father, and kind of connecting some stuff about his past into that. But they never let that sort of get in the way of the fact that you're here to see Pokemon. You're not exactly here to see just this human drama sort of element. That's fine to have in there, but you sort of want to explore that through the Pokemon. And, you know, I suppose the one fear that you often have with these live action kind of remakes of, you know, adaptations or whatever of franchises like this, where there is an element that has to be CG, is how heavy did they go on that element? I think for me the best example is probably like, this does it so much better than say something like the Transformers live action movies. Both the Michael Bay ones and also the recent Bumblebee movie. In those movies it's like, it's basically like Military the movie, and there's also some Transformers in there. The Transformers rarely, if ever, felt like they were the focus of their own movies. You count in your hands the number of like characters from the, you know, Cybertronian characters in those movies. Even Bumblebee in the Bumblebee movie, like, while they get some stuff across, you know, it really struggles for, given that he's like the main character. I probably get the impression that probably will be the way the Sonic movie goes, but here, Pikachu as a character, Detective Pikachu, is actually explored fairly well. There's some honestly like emotional scenes of Tim and Pikachu talking to each other. As I said, I think the main positive about this is just the integration of Pokemon into the world, of just like the opening shot of just seeing, I think it's like Pidgeots flying through the sky, and then out in the streets, you know, like you see, you know, Pancham's there. There's some Apom kind of climbing up, you know, sides of the buildings and so on. There's a Machamp out sort of directing traffic in the street because a Snorlax is sleeping there. It's very kind of clever, it works, and it's just, Pokemon are integrated perfectly in here. What I do find interesting though about the approach here, I have never played the game Detective Pikachu, so I don't know how accurate it is to that or anything like that, but the approach that they took here was, they basically went, yeah, the world is the way it is in the games. There are Pokemon trainers, there are Pokemon battles. They more or less kind of give you the idea that, yes, gyms, the idea of you can grow up to become a Pokemon trainer if you want, is a thing, and I suppose, you know, gyms and Pokemon League. That's a thing, but where most of this movie is set, that's not really a thing here. Pokemon battles are outlawed in this city, and we do more of a thing where we just want to live together with the Pokemon. And so what this allows them to do is, it allows them to sort of get around the idea of anyone who is a Pokemon trainer, their Pokemon would always be in a Pokeball until they were required for a battle. So in this case, no one particularly has a Pokemon, and instead they just have a Pokemon who they're like a friend with, but they're never in a Pokeball. So the Pokemon are always there in like a city environment, interacting with everyone, and nearly everyone seems to have a Pokemon partner. So it allows the Pokemon to be so integrated into like a city environment without needing to go the full like wild Pokemon route. And that they're just a part of the way things work. They seem to have roles of their own and so on. And they do the classic ones, like the Squirtle Squad is there with the fire department and stuff like that. So I get why they kind of did that, but given that they've already confirmed a sequel for this, I would hope that they, I suppose, show off more of the rest of the world style of things in that sequel, of actually like showing a Pokemon battle. Because ultimately, I'd say probably the weakest part of this movie is that you don't really, I think, properly get to see a Pokemon battle. There's like, they go to like an underground like fighting Pokemon battle place, which is effectively illegal in this town, and you see a little bit of, I think it's Gengar versus Blastoise, but it's just kind of happening in the background as the rest of the plot's happening, and they don't focus on it too much. You get a little bit of like Charizard versus Pikachu, but it's mainly to get across that Detective Pikachu doesn't like remember or know how to fight or use its attacks. And then right at the end you get a little bit of stuff, but for the most of the movie you don't really get any just straight up Pokemon battles as such. So you don't really get to see a ton of Pokemon like using their moves. Mainly the Pokemon involvement here is just, here they are in the background in a position where they would naturally be, and it works really, really nicely. I think they used a good selection of Pokemon. So of course they have your standard ones of, yes, you have Pikachu, of course, Charizard, yes, Charmander, Bulbasaur, Squirtle. You see a lot of them throughout the movie as like the main 4 or 5 Pokemon that everyone like knows. Snorlax, I think a lot of people remember him. Mr. Mime, they promoted heavily in the trailer. Psyduck is the main female character's partner Pokemon, and so he gets a decent amount of spotlight. But then, like I said, there's just like, Pancham, that you see Joltix out in the street, kind of on the power lines and stuff like that. You see Blastoise once or twice. Gengar's there. And then like some of the crowd shots, you get to see some of the other Pokemon for like small amounts of time, and then like towards the end you see like Greninja, Torterra. I was really there's a great moment with Torterra where they like set up something and it's like, oh, it didn't work, but then like they turn it around, and I thought that was really well done. Obviously Torterra is one of my favorite Pokemon, so it was really cool to see the live action version of Torterra. And yeah, just that they didn't confine it to just Generation 1, just because they seem to use, Pokemon from pretty much every generation. I think there was one or two of them from the Sun and Moon generation. It might have just been one of the little fairy Pokemon. None of the, I think, really like memorable Pokemon from there, but they seem to use most of the generations when they could. And obviously, it leaves them open to, like, in future movies, they get more used to doing these designs. Maybe they can put even more Pokemon in. Because I suppose, like, a little bit towards the end, you sort of realize that, okay, like, they do have a certain limit to the amount of Pokemon they can do in the movie, and that, like, you are seeing a lot of the same ones, and that when you have the crowd shots with the Pokemon, it's like, oh yeah, there's a Charmander in there, there's a Squirtle in there, there's some Pidgeots in the background, Apom. It was a similar group, and maybe they could have had a little bit more variety, but I suppose it's better that you had the quality here over just raw quantity. So that was that. I think the most surprising thing for me, I suppose the trailer made it very clear, Mewtwo is a part of the movie. I was surprised with how heavily involved in like most of the movie Mewtwo as a plot point was, in that they more or less give you the Pokemon the first movie sort of origin in a way for Mewtwo, but obviously like time passed on a little bit, but it's the same like basic origin story for Mewtwo here, but it's used in a slightly different way, and that's the entire premise for the plot. Basically, it's that, okay, Tim's father is a detective. he's seemingly killed in this in Mewtwo's escape attempt by Mewtwo, you think, and when Tim goes to this city to find out what happened to his father, that's when he comes across Detective Pikachu, and Detective Pikachu was his father's partner Pokemon, so that's why they sort of end up kind of teaming up together to find out the truth of what happened, and they incorporate Mewtwo into it. There's this sort of corporation that kind of created, I think it's Rhyme City is the name of this city where humans and Pokemon live together, no Pokemon battles and stuff like that. And that corporation is, I think, used actually pretty well. Like, that's where a lot of the sort of twists and turns of the movie sort of come from with what exactly is going on here. But in general, I think it came together fairly well, that it wasn't just a super simple, like, mystery here. There was a bunch of layers, lots of twists and turns in it. I think you got the core of what they were going for here, but the exact details they did managed to surprise me a few times with it. So I definitely give them credit here for, like, this is a well thought out Pokemon movie. In a way, like, I get why they went for the not typical world of Pokemon, but sort of teased that. But in a way, at the same time, in that moment, it's like, huh? Like, we're going to a town where we're not going to see any Pokemon battles with trainers? Because the one moment where you see what are obviously actual, trainers fighting, it looks like it's a really, really cool battle, with the arena and stuff like that that's about to happen. But they sort of just, tease that and sort of move on from it. As for, I suppose, Detective Pikachu himself, voiced by Ryan Reynolds, of course, the idea that they go for is that Tim is the only one who can actually hear him, and understand him properly. Everyone else just hears him say stuff as a normal Pikachu. And the idea here is that they are a really good detective team because Tim can talk to the humans, Pikachu can talk to the Pokemon, and they can talk to each other to kind of compare ideas. And it's a simple but effective idea of just, that works really, really well. That they can get information both from these sort of animal-like creatures of this world as well as the humans, and that will together bring up the solution to the problem. And yeah, like I said, the interaction of everything with the arc that both Pikachu has as well as Tim, it does just get quite emotional at times, and I think I was impressed with, like, they didn't, like, overdo it, but it just fit naturally in, and it was a way to, like, make you actually care about the characters, and not just have it be Pokemon and, yeah, here's some plot, here's some character stuff. No, there's a reason why all of this is happening, and I think it works, and by the end, I think it's the setup for the sequel, like, is there really a setup as such? It's like, oh, okay, so this is where we are. There's sort of a way for Detective Pikachu 2 to happen. Maybe not in the way you think, but it's going to be interesting to see what exact way that they go with it. So, I think that's most of what I want to talk about with this one. Just in general, I was very, very impressed. I don't think I have any real major complaint about this. Obviously, the movie is not trying to be this amazingly complicated plot or do anything particularly crazy with characters, but for the sort of, struggle that it maybe could have had of just live action Pokemon, really, and especially with what happened recently with the Sonic trailer, the fact that this, I think, in general has gone down as such a success, I've seen nothing but kind of positives, kind of leveled at the movie. So I think they've got onto something pretty good here. And more movies, I think absolutely do more Pokemon in this style, because it does actually really work. It's very, very interesting to see the Pokemon done in this style. If you've seen, like, the shots of other Pokemon, they actually do look really, really good. They're purposefully, like, a little bit stylistic, so as to, I suppose, keep the fact that they are Pokemon. They didn't go down the Sonic road of trying to make him too realistic and then he just looks so stupid. Here it's like they kept like the vivid colors of all of the Pokemon, but basically just, you know, it's the same designs just with sort of realistic looking textures. So fur, or you know scales in Charizard's case and stuff like that. Like you can tell that, like, okay, that's all that they really needed to do. There's no need to like over design the Pokemon when really all you need is just a slightly realistic texture on them, and most people are going to be able to accept them that way. So I think that's all I want to say here. I don't want to go on too long here. We can of course continue this discussion in the comments below. If you've seen the movie or anything like that, if you have any questions or stuff that you want to hear my thoughts on, leave them in the comments below. But yeah, that's been my thoughts on Detective Pikachu. Definitely 2 thumbs up from me, so very positive overall about it. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.